Now let's suppose we want to construct a frequency distribution for a numerical variable like say rooms. Okay, so how are we going to do that? Okay, for frequency distribution for number of rooms. So the code for that is table. Okay, so if you do table housing DF and rooms, so that will give us okay how many of rooms equal to 3, how many 4, how many 5, and so on. Okay, but suppose we want to capture this and then you want to build a bar chart for this. Okay, but before we get to that, suppose we want to print this vertically instead of horizontally. Then we use T for transpose, and you have to do it twice. And then you do table housing DF rooms. That will give you this will be an array. Okay, so we can do a class of this. Suppose we want, okay, so suppose we want to simply just check what the class is, and we really don't want to put that in our code. Then we can go down to console, and then I'm going to press the up arrow key. The up arrow key is going to give me the last executed code, right? If I keep pressing up arrow key, and I can navigate to the one before that, and one before that, one before that, and so on. Okay, but I want to just go one before and then say class. Okay, open parenthesis, and I have to close parenthesis on this side, and then press enter. So that'll tell us what kind of an object it is. Okay, so it's a table. So that's what this is going to look like. Suppose we want to, as I said, we want to develop a bar chart. So we want this to be a data frame. So what we will do is we copy that, okay, and then create a new data frame, rooms frec. Okay, so now we're going to set that to, all right, that table. Okay, but the code for converting a table to data frame is data frame, and then we don't need this T and T, so I'm going to remove that. Okay, and to check whether we have enough number of parentheses, you can move your pointer and then see what a given right side parenthesis matches with which left side parenthesis. So now this is good. So if you run that, then you get rooms frec. So there it is. So you can look at it. So it's called, well, the first column is really rooms. R is setting it to a default name of var1, and then the second column is frequency. Now let's rename the columns. So we can say names, rooms frec. Okay. Now we need to give the names. Okay, and the number of names should match the number of columns in the data frame, and we give that as a list. Remember, a list is created with C. So now there are two columns, so and the names must be given within quotation mark. So the first one is rooms, right? So okay, and the second one is, we'll change it to frequency. All right. Okay. So now if you go and look at rooms, and you see the names are properly changed. Okay. Now if you do rooms freq and run that, then you get the data showing up like this. Okay. Now we're going to be in chapter 3, we're going to be looking at a special package for preparing all kinds of different charts. But right now we will use a bar plot code that comes bundled with base R. So we're going to do bar plot, all right, and then you see rooms freq, right? Now when you run that, you get error. The reason for that is that bar plot has several other things that you have to provide, not just the name of the data frame. So what do you need to provide to bar plot? Okay. So we can go to help and then find bar plot and see what bar plot needs, or you can go down to the console, you start with a question mark and then type out the code, that the function for which you want help. So here it is, bar plot. So I started out with a question mark bar plot. So now that's selected, question mark bar plot, and then press the enter again, and I get what we need here. So we need the height. Okay. So bar plot. Okay, this is just the name of the data set, but it doesn't give us which column to be used as the height of the bar. So we need to specify that. So frequency, right? Now if I run that, let's say, well, that gives us the bar plot, all right? Now, so that's under plots, right? Now under help, we still have the information about help information about bar plot. So what else can we do? You know, there is a whole lot of options here, and we really don't need to go into each and every one of them. Okay, let me show you a few things that may be helpful. Okay, one thing is we want to put the number of rooms under each bar. So that would be a helpful thing to understand the graph, and for that, and if you look at the help page, you see, if you look through this and you say a vector of names, vector or a list of names to be plotted below each bar of the group of bars. So where is the names going to come from? It's going to come from rooms, freq rooms, right? So that's where. So names, all right. So once I type 3 letters and I get prompted for names.org. Now we want that to be, and again, dollar rooms. Now I run that. So now we have the room values on the x-axis. So the previous bar chart is still there. See here, if you click this arrow, it'll take us to the previous one. That brings us back here. Okay. Now we can still improve this graph. So by placing x-axis label and y-axis label, okay, and we can do that by comma, and we'll start a new line so that way it's more readable. So you can put one code line can be split into multiple lines. So xlab is the option. Now the x-axis label option in the bar plot, base bar plot, that is bar plot that comes from base R, you need to specify in this fashion. But the specialized package called ggplot that we will be using in chapter 3, this is done in a slightly different way, but we will worry about that at that time. Okay, so the X label is number of rooms, right? And then now see here, when I entered, okay, my cell point, the cursor went all the way here. So that means there's something wrong, because when I press enter, it should line up with XLab. And the reason for that is I have finished with the parenthesis already. So all things that I'm done with that line of code. And so it's taking me all the way to the first column. So if I don't end with a parenthesis, then you see the line point, the cursor is lined up here. So I can continue the next one, which is ylab, or label. Lab is label. So frequency, right? And we'll also give a title, say, and the title option is specified as main, and say distribution of number of rooms. Okay, so now if I finish with parenthesis, okay, and then run, and you see I have the y-axis label, x-axis label, and the main title. Okay, so the previous versions are there. Now, one last thing I want to show you is to change the color of the bars. Gray is the default. So again, put a comma and then say color equal to say navy. Now, what are the possible values? You have to do a Google search and you will see what those possible values are. So here is navy, and suppose change it to say green. Change it to green, and so on. You can play with this and then look at what other changes you could make. And again, if you go back to help screen and then look at all the different options that are available, you can try some of them and see how you can make the plot even better than this.